Okay, I'm going to teach you how to solve a Rubik's Cube as a total beginner with basically no memorization. You don't have to be a genius to do it. You don't have to know anything special. An ordinary person can learn, but it is going to take some thinking, a little bit of practice. You might have to start over a couple of times because you'll probably make some mistakes. But with a bit of persistence, after a day or two, you'll have it down the first time, and it won't be nearly so long the second time, the third time. Every time you do it, you're going to get faster and faster, and it's going to get more and more fun. So let's get started with the tutorial using what I call the super method. In order to make that happen, I'm going to have to teach you a little bit about how the cube works and a few common misconceptions that a lot of beginners have the first time they pick up a cube. So if I take my cube right here, one thing that's not totally obvious to a lot of people the first time they pick it up is that the centers don't really move. And then if I turn aside, the blue center is just kind of staying put. All the other centers obviously stay put because I'm only turning the blue side. It's really the pieces that move around the center. And because of that, blue is always going to be opposite green, orange is always going to be opposite red, and yellow is always going to be opposite white. Whenever I turn, they stay fixed relative to each other, at least the centers. The other thing is that this piece, this blue-orange piece, is one piece of plastic. When I turn any side that has it, it moves together. So if I hold onto it like this, it's always staying as one piece of plastic. And not only that, you see how it's an edge piece, like it's between two centers. Well, whenever I turn, it always stays an edge piece. And just like this corner that's between three centers, it always stays a corner piece when I turn. You can tell a center because it has one color, an edge because it has two colors, and a corner because it has three colors. And they don't mix. A center is a center, an edge is an edge, a corner is a corner. You can make all that really obvious by taking your cube, twisting it a little bit, grabbing a piece, twisting that a little bit, and you can yoink it right out of the cube. That's the first lesson. The easiest way to solve a cube is to take it apart. That is not the super method, but if you're getting frustrated and you just kind of want to start over, it can be a helpful way to learn. So just rip open your cube, take it apart, and here you can see for real why the centers never move when you turn aside. Twisting the white side is just spinning this guy, but all the other centers, they're fixed, and white, every time I twist it, is staying opposite yellow and completely in the same position relative to everything else. This also makes it really obvious why an edge is always an edge. It only has two pieces of plastic to get the different colors on it. Why a corner is always a corner, it's only got the three colors on it. You could never turn this into this guy or this into this guy. Okay, now that explanation should make another common mistake make sense. So let's take a different cube and I'll mess this up. Okay, a lot of people, the first time they pick up a cube, the first thing they try to do is solve a side. They think about the cube as, well, it's got 6 sides. If I solve all 6 of them, I'll be done. That's not really a good way to think about it. And I'll show you why. Let's take an example here and say that I'm going to solve the green side here. So I can put that on the green side. I can put those on the green side. I can put those on the green side. And there. Didn't I solve the green side? No. Because these are all wrong. Because this is one piece. This green, orange, yellow piece is one piece. It's only solved when it is between the green, orange, and yellow centers. Hanging out over here between the green, orange, and white centers, this piece is unsolved. Even though you look at this, it looks solved, not solved. This piece belongs over here. Now you see these all match. This corner belongs over here, and this corner belongs over here. An actually solved side looks like this. A constant stripe on the side here, and one layer. But the method we're going to do does not start by solving a side. Because if you think about what you've got here now, once you solve one side, well, you can turn this without breaking anything. That keeps your green side fixed. But if I turn any of these other sides, that messes up what you built so far. Not good. So this solve aside strategy, we can do better. Okay, so now let's actually get into the tutorial and see how the super method works. So take your cube, scramble it, you probably already did. Just get it into some random configuration. And the first step of this method is going to be to solve a cross on any color. So for example, the color green, but it can be whatever color you like. A cross means we're going to take that green center and we're going to surround it by all the edge pieces on the green side to be also green, and so that the corresponding side colors are also solved. So for example, this green-white piece happens to already be touching the green center, and it belongs on the white side. So we're now going to turn the green side so that green-white is solved. Now you pick another side color. I see right here green-orange. So green-orange belongs on the orange side. How do we get it there? Here's the first important concept. You can use the color opposite your cross color. So here we have green. The opposite color is blue. You can use the side opposite your cross color as a little workspace. So you take pieces you want to manipulate and you move them in and out of that workspace strategically. So green, orange, we can put it into the workspace like that. And then once we're up here, since we don't care about anything on blue right now, we can turn it until the orange matches up with the orange. And then we can turn the orange side to swing it down to connect to green. Cool. Now you pick another side color. I see right here, green, red. And you'll notice it's already in our workspace. But if I turn it over to the red side, well, we've got a problem. The red is not touching the red. So let's put it back over here. And now it's time for the second important concept, which is that it is okay to break things. You just have to fix them. So even though I have this green-white piece here that we already solved, we want to take care of, it's okay to break it so that the red touches the red. That's okay. We just have to immediately fix it. So whenever you've got a piece you want to solve, you can think, what would I do to solve it if I didn't care about breaking anything? The answer would be that. That touches red to red. And then you got to think about how to undo what you break after you solve it. So I can attach it right here to red, and then attach that to green. The only piece I cared about fixing was this one, and so I just have to undo the thing that I did to break it. Let's go in reverse to see how that worked one more time. I moved this guy out of the way by turning this side, so I'm going to have to unturn that side after I put the other piece I care about in place. Okay, so destroy, build, restore. Now we've got one more side piece left, which is green, yellow, and it's up here. And we're going to have to do the same thing because it's facing the wrong way. If we swing it into place, it's not solved. So you put it on one of the other sides. You turn the yellow side toward yellow, and then the green side toward green, and then you fix the edge that you broke. Okay, so that gets us through the first step. You've got a green cross, or whatever cross color you like. You should pick a different one every time. Our next step, second step, is going to be to fill in these columns. So this column of two pieces between our centers and cross edges, these are called slots. So we're going to solve 3 of the 4 slots in our second step here. The way you do that is you find the 2 pieces that belong in a slot. For example, here is green, orange, yellow, and orange, yellow. Those belong in this slot right here. And you first pair them up. You pair them up by lining up the 2 common colors with each other. So orange should match with orange, and yellow should match with yellow. And the way that you're allowed to do that is you can turn any side with a cross color, any side with one of your cross pieces, as long as the next thing you do is turn the top side, and then the next thing you do after that is unturn that cross edge, because that'll always fix it. That'll always fix your cross, right? If I do this, that breaks it, but if I turn the top layer, however much I turn it, and then I turn it back, that'll always bring my cross back to where it was. So here I think, well, if I turn this cross piece, that puts orange up here and yellow right here. Well, if this was aligned like this, then when I turn the way I just did, that matches orange to orange and yellow to yellow. Okay, fantastic. So that pairs them up. I can now move the top layer any amount, and then I can move my cross edge back. My cross is restored, and my pair is built. Same thing over here. I want to put that pair into the slot now. And there's always two options, and only one of them is going to work at a time. You can open the slot on the right, or you can open the slot on the front. So I'm going to move our pair out of the way to let you see how this works over here. So that pair is back here for the moment. If I open on the right, it means I turn the right side. Open a slot means to take these two pieces and put them into the top layer. So whatever two pieces are in the slot, opening means you put them into the top layer. Well, if I open on the right, you see this side ends up on top. Then you can turn the top layer however much, and then you close on the right by taking whatever's right there and restoring the cross edge, bringing whatever's up there into the slot. The other option is to open on the front, which means you turn this side so that whatever was over here ends up on top. Then again, you turn the top layer however much you want, and then you close on the front by doing the same thing. So let's go back to our pair that we had paired up. We want to insert it right here, which means we really, if we weren't thinking about what it would destroy, we would just do that, right? Which means, what does that move? That's closing on the front. Like if the slot was up here and we wanted to close it, we would have to turn the front side to close it. So that means we have to take our pair, put it somewhere safe, open on the front, move it into that position, so then we can close on the front and it'll be solved. And then you move on to the next pair. So for example, I see here the green, orange, white piece and the orange, white piece. Those two pieces belong in this slot. And what do? You put both of them in the top layer. So I can put this guy in the top layer like that, for example. I can put him in the top layer like that, for example. And which one's going to be most efficient, you're going to learn by some experimentation. But if I take this piece, I want it in the top layer so that I can pair it up with the other piece of the slot. So I'll put it in like that. That opened this slot on the right, so then I can turn the top layer and then close that slot on the right. Okay, now we've got these two pieces. Orange wants to match with orange, white wants to match with white. We can do that just by this turn. And that's a crazy nice move because that turn opened this slot on the front. These pieces are exactly where they belong to get inserted into that slot so that when we close on the front, boom, they're solved. Okay, now we move on to the next slot. For example, green, red, white, and red, white belong in here. Well, how do I do it? They're both in the top layer already, but they're not next to each other. And if I put them next to each other, oh, the colors are all wrong. That's not good. What you do here is you notice, well, they have the same color on top. So if I took if I took the corner out of the top layer, which is okay, that's just opening a slot over here that I don't care about. If I took the corner out of the top layer and moved my edge to where the corner was touching, so I moved the edge to where the corner was touching, when I put it back into the top layer, that pairs them up. Okay, and to get the hang of how that works, it's just going to take a little bit of practice, a little bit of experimentation. Each case is going to be different. There's a bunch of different cases, and you shouldn't try to memorize how they work. You should really just think, how do I get these two pieces to touch by opening and closing my cross sides? But okay, you got these paired up, and again, I want to do this to solve it, but that breaks a bunch of stuff. But if I think about what that is, that's closing on the front. So I just got to move this somewhere. It doesn't matter where. You can move it anywhere as long as that kind of move and opening on the front doesn't break the pair. So you really got two options. You could put it here or you put it over here, because that way the front side doesn't break it. If I put it over here, that's the easy one to see. I open on the front You insert into the slot, you close the slot, boom. We're now done with step 2. After step 2, you should have this V shape on your cube, and it should be thick all the way around, and you've just got this one slot left unsolved. There's a good reason we left that slot unsolved. It's because by doing that, we now can use it to take pieces in and out of the top layer strategically to solve that top layer. So the next step is going to be to solve all 5 of the remaining edges, the 4 cross edges on top and the edge here in the middle layer. The way we're going to do that is you pick an edge that's facing the right way, if you have one. For example, this blue-yellow piece is facing the right way. Facing the right way means, for example, it's blue and it's got the blue on top. This piece is also facing the right way because it's blue and it's got blue on top. This edge is facing the wrong way because it is a blue edge, but it doesn't have blue on top. Okay. So for this third step, you take an edge that is already facing the right way, like this blue-yellow piece, and you say, I'm going to think of that guy as solved. So you turn the top layer until it's in the right spot. So here we did it. The blue is attached to blue, yellow is attached to yellow, and now you're going to solve whatever is in the slot relative to that piece. So here's what I mean. Blue-red goes right here. Now I want to put blue-red into the top layer by opening and closing the slot. And so I'm only going to be able to do that and put it in facing the right way and in the right place if I align the top layer correctly first. So for example, if I open the slot on the right like that, well, it doesn't put blue-red where blue-red goes. That's where blue-yellow goes, right? It puts it in the wrong spot. If I open it on the front, it puts it facing the wrong way. That's even worse. So what we have to do is we have to align the top layer so that when we put this into the top layer facing the correct way, it'll also be in the right spot. So blue-yellow is here. If I move the top layer like this, blue-yellow is now here. Blue-red goes here. So if I move the top layer like this is now where blue-red goes. So when I now open the slot, blue-red is in the correct spot relative to blue-yellow that it should be. Now you move the top layer again to load in a new unsolved edge piece into the slot, right? Because these two pieces are still a slot, and now you close the slot. So that now loads in blue-orange. And if we align the top layer now so that blue-yellow is solved, you'll notice that blue-red is now also solved. Okay, and it happened that blue-white got solved too. And you might say, isn't that nice? Now we just have 2 edges unsolved. That's actually unlucky. It's unlucky. Half the time when you do this, you're going to come down to 3 edges unsolved, and half the time you're going to come down to 2 edges unsolved. And it might sound surprising, but the 3 edges case is nicer than the 2 edges. If you got the 2 edges case, it actually means that you did an odd number of turns to get the cube to the state that it is. And that means it's also going to take an odd number of turns to solve it. Basically, because the way that we're opening and closing and turning the top layer always does an even number of turns, we can't actually solve those 2 pieces without first doing an odd number of turns, because it takes an odd number of swaps. There's a good reason for that, but it's a little mathematical. We'll just skip over and say that what we have to do is turn the top layer 1 time. In either direction, just once. And now we have to start placing our edges again. So even though it looked like these 3 pieces were solved, we actually solved them 1 position off of where they belong. So now we say, blue-orange, where does it belong? It belongs over here. We're going to have to open on the front to move it there. So you move that position into the front. You open blue-orange into the front. You put blue-orange where it belongs. And then you close on the front. That loads a new piece in, which is blue-yellow. Blue-orange is now solved, so blue-yellow goes here. So you move it in, move a new piece in, there you go. Now I got blue-white. Blue-white goes over here. So you move that over there, open in the front, put blue-white where it belongs, that loads a new piece in, and boom. Now all of the edges are solved. That's what will happen in the case that you have 3, where the last 2 edges are just going to push themselves right where they belong. In the case you have 2, you have to do what I showed and do 1 turn of the top layer. Now here we also happen to get lucky by total accident, but it doesn't really help us at all, that the last corner happened to solve itself. Now this 5th corner doesn't always solve itself. That was a complete coincidence. In fact, just to make the example more helpful, I went ahead and I unsolved it so that you don't get too many ideas about that happening on its own. Can, but that was just luck. Normally this is what it looks like in the end. You got 5 corners left. You got the corner down here and the 4 up here. And we're going to solve those using kind of memorization, but it's so simple you barely have to memorize anything. So let's take another cube to show you how it works as a bit of an example. If I do a turn and then I undo that turn, I didn't do anything. If I do a turn and then I do a different turn and I undo the different turn and I undo the first turn, I still didn't do anything. But what if I go in a different order? What if I do turn A and then turn B and then I do anti-A and anti-B? Well, that did something, right? So A, B, anti-B, anti-A does nothing. But A, B, anti-A, anti-B, that sure does something. Not clear that it's helpful, but you know, that's kind of fun. So let's do it again. A move, backward, backward, a move, backward, backward, that's twice. A move, backward, backward, that's thrice. A move, backward, backward, that's thrice. A move, backward, backward, that's fifes. And a move, backward, backward. After 6 times, we are back to where we started. It's kind of interesting. So that sequence of turning the right side this way, the bottom side this way, and then back, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After 6, gets us right back to where we started. It also does something super helpful, and so we call it the super move, which is watch what happens to the top layer when we do that move. When I do the top layer, or when I look at the top layer, everything up here is protected except that corner. Okay, and what happened with that corner? Well, this yellow sticker gets put in the top layer. Okay, a bunch of stuff down here got messed up. That's not so good. But because every time we do a cycle of 6, it restores itself, we can use that to solve the rest of the corners. So let's go over here. This is the blue, red, yellow corner. That goes between the blue, red, yellow centers, which is right here. This corner goes right here. So we do the move, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now look, that corner is solved. And that put a new corner down here. Now it messed some other stuff up, but don't worry about it. We're always going to do a multiple of 6, and it'll be okay. It put a new corner down here, which is blue, orange, white. So we're going to turn the top layer so that blue, orange, white is above our corner. And we're going to do the move again, 1, 2, 3, 4, until that corner is solved. That gives us another corner down here, which is blue, red, white. So now we turn the top layer until blue, red, white is right above, and then we do the move. Okay, we're making progress. We've got a new corner, which is blue, orange, yellow. So we turn the top layer till we've got blue, orange, yellow directly above us, and we do the move. That didn't solve it. Well, it did put it there, facing the wrong way. That means we got to keep doing the move. So we do it again. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Still didn't solve it. Now it's down here. We got to do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now if you align the top layer, we did it a multiple of 6 times. It'll always take a multiple of 6 times. And we're done. The cube is solved. But there is one trick that can happen. So we got a little lucky in the example solve because when we solved the fourth corner in the top layer, the fifth and final corner, the one in the bottom layer, also happened to be solved and the cube was done. But that's not always how it goes. Instead, a lot of the time when you solve the fourth corner in the top layer, your cube will look something like this, where the bottom is not actually solved. You know, the top layer is perfect, but the bottom's not solved. The reason for this is because you managed to solve the top layer without doing the super move a multiple of 6 times. And so the bottom didn't restore itself. How do you fix it? Well, you just take your cube and you do the super move, and keep doing the super move until the bottom layer does restore itself, okay? Once you've done that, you'll now have 2 corners left over that are in the right spot, but facing the wrong direction. And we can fix that by holding the cube so that those 2 corners appear on the same side, like red here, in the top layer. And now we treat each corner as if we're going to solve it again using the super move just like before. So I look at it and I say, well, it's not solved. I'll do the super move. It's still not solved. I'll do the super move. Still not solved. Still not solved. There you go. Now I move the last corner over the column where I was doing the super move and do that again until it is solved. And now that I was only down to 2 corners, it will always take a multiple of 6 times. And so we can just undo our alignment of the top layer and we're done. So in general, that's how the super method goes. First you build a cross, then you build a thick V by putting in 3 of the slots. That leaves you with 1 slot left over. You use that slot to solve the 5 edges. That either gets you to a case where 2 edges end up unsolved or 3. If it's 3, you can just solve them by placing them directly, opening and closing the slot. If it's 2, you have to do 1 turn of the top layer to make it work out, but then you can treat it just like the 3 case. Once you've done that, you've got 5 corners left, which you solve by using the super move to shoot the corner that's down here up into the top layer, loading in a new target to shoot into by adjusting the top layer, going all around until all of the corners are placed. When you do that, sometimes you end up with 2 corners twisted at the end, and then you use the super move to twist those corners to face the right way. And that's the whole method. You can use this method, honestly, to get pretty fast. Definitely faster than a 1-minute solve. But if you're getting at that speed, you should probably learn a better method. There are a whole lot of better methods for the cube. The most popular method is called CFOP, C-F-O-P, or the Friedrich method, as it was called for a long time. I don't use that method though. I use what's called the Roux method, which is spelled R-O-U-X, and you can find all sorts of great tutorials online for that method. I strongly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. There's also a whole community of cubers teaching each other new methods and tricks and algorithms and memorization and notation. There are competitions. There's all sorts of cool stuff, and you should check it out if you had fun.